10 boring tomato tips that actually work. Did you know that over 65% of home gardeners experience frustrating tomato plant problems each season? Many of which could have been prevented with just a few simple actions. These issues, ranging from disease and pests to poor fruit production, can lead to a 30% decrease in harvest and even result in costly replanting or treatments. What's worse, ignoring small signs early on can cause a rapid increase in plant stress, leading to irreversible damage and shattered expectations. It's downright disheartening, and yes, even a little infuriating, when you pour time, money, and care into your garden only to see yellowing leaves or cracked tomatoes. But here's the truth. The right tips can drastically improve your tomato success rate and protect your hard work. So let's tackle these problems before they begin, starting with number 10. Water tomatoes deeply, not lightly. Watering might seem like the most boring tomato tip ever, but it's actually one of the most important ones. If you just sprinkle water over the top of the soil, your tomato plants won't grow strong roots. Instead, they'll stay shallow and weak, which makes them more likely to dry out or fall over during hot, windy days. Therefore, it's absolutely essential to water deeply, right at the base of the plant, so that the roots can reach down and grow firm, healthy, and stable. Deep watering allows moisture to reach the entire root zone, which encourages better fruit development and fewer problems later on. While it may take more time and effort, the results are always worth it. The soil should be moist several inches down, not just damp on the surface. So if you're unsure, stick your finger into the soil. If it feels dry below the top 2 inches, it's time to water again. This technique helps the plant stay resilient during dry spells or heat waves. However, overwatering can be just as harmful as underwatering. If the soil becomes soggy, or if water sits around the base for too long, your plant may suffer from root rot or fungal diseases. So aim for balance and consistency. Use mulch around your tomatoes to hold in moisture, and always water early in the morning if possible. That way the leaves have time to dry out, reducing the risk of mildew or blight. Number 9. Pinch off suckers regularly. Suckers are those small shoots that grow between the main stem and branches. And although they look harmless, they quietly steal energy from the plant. If you ignore them, your tomato plant can become crowded and unmanageable. But by pinching off these extra shoots early and often, you're helping the plant focus its energy on growing strong stems and delicious fruits instead of unnecessary foliage. While it might feel a bit tedious, this practice truly leads to healthier and more productive plants. Removing suckers improves airflow through the plant, which lowers the chances of disease. Also, the plant will spend its nutrients on fewer, but larger fruits rather than many small ones. Therefore, your harvest becomes more flavorful and much easier to manage. If you're unsure which shoots to remove, just look for the small V-shaped sprouts between branches and the main stem. Use your fingers or clean pruning shears and pinch them off gently. It's better to do this in the morning when the plant is crisp and dry. However, don't over-prune. Removing too many suckers at once can stress the plant and reduce its overall strength. Number 8. Stake or cage them early. Tomatoes grow quickly, and if you wait too long to support them, the stems may bend or break under the weight of the fruit. Therefore, it's wise to install stakes or cages early, ideally when the plant is still young. This might not seem exciting, but it prevents countless issues later in the season. Using a sturdy cage or tall stake keeps your plant upright, promotes airflow, and makes harvesting easier. While it may seem unnecessary in the beginning, those tiny plants will grow vigorously and soon need proper support. And if you delay, you might damage the roots or tangle the branches when trying to add support too late. However, not all support systems are created equal. If you use a flimsy cage or short stake, it may not hold up during heavy rains or wind. So choose something strong, tall, and well anchored. Tie the plant gently with soft ties, cloth or twine. And always check for adjustments as the plant grows. Number 7. Mulch around the base. Mulching may seem boring or overly basic, but it plays a huge role in keeping your tomato patch healthy. Adding a thick layer of organic mulch, like straw shredded, leaves, or grass clippings, helps retain moisture, reduce weeds, and regulate soil temperature. Therefore, your tomato plants won't get as stressed during hot afternoons or dry weeks. While it's easy to overlook, mulching also prevents soil from splashing onto the leaves during watering or rain. This is important because soil often carries harmful fungi or bacteria that can infect your plant. So by simply covering the soil, you're creating a barrier that keeps the plant safer and cleaner. Plus, your garden will look neater and more organized. However, it's crucial not to pile the mulch directly against the stem. If mulch touches the main stalk, it may trap moisture and cause rot. Always leave a little space around the base and make sure the mulch is fluffy, not compacted. You can add more as needed, especially during long dry spells. Number 6. Rotate your tomato beds. Planting tomatoes in the same spot every year might seem convenient, but it's a recipe for disease buildup and poor soil health. Therefore, rotating your tomato beds every season is an old, reliable practice that prevents long-term issues. It might sound boring, but your soil and your tomatoes will thank you. By changing planting locations, you avoid the buildup of soil-borne pathogens and pests that love tomatoes. While your backyard may be small, even moving them to a slightly different bed or container can make a noticeable difference. And rotating also allows different crops to restore nutrients that tomatoes heavily consume, especially nitrogen and phosphorus. However, rotation works best when paired with companion planting or cover cropping. If you grow beans or peas where tomatoes once were, you'll naturally enrich the soil. So take the time to plan your garden map each year. It may feel tedious at first, but it's a powerful and proven step toward healthier plants. Number 5. Don't over-fertilize. It's tempting to think that more fertilizer equals more tomatoes, but that's not always true. In fact, over-fertilizing can cause your plant to grow tall and leafy without producing much fruit. Therefore, balance is everything when it comes to feeding your tomato plants. While tomatoes do need nutrients, especially nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, giving them too much too often can backfire. A plant overloaded with nitrogen will look lush and green, but it may delay flowering or fail to produce flavorful fruit. So always follow label instructions or opt for slow release options. However, if your plant seems sluggish or pale, they might actually need a little boost. Look for a balanced fertilizer, or one that's slightly higher in phosphorus to encourage blooms and fruiting. And always water thoroughly after fertilizing, or the roots might burn. It's all about timing and moderation. Number 4. Prune lower leaves. Those lower leaves might seem harmless or even helpful, but as the season goes on, they can become a major problem. They're more likely to touch the soil and pick up bacteria or fungus, especially during wet weather. Therefore, pruning the bottom leaves as the plant grows taller can dramatically reduce the risk of disease. While pruning might feel scary at first, it allows more light and air to reach the center of the plant, and that helps prevent mold mildew and other common issues like blight. If you remove the lower third of the plant's leaves gradually, you'll keep the plant focused on fruit production instead of maintaining unnecessary foliage. However, don't prune too aggressively. If you remove too many leaves at once, the plant could go into shock, so go slow and steady. Cut a few leaves at a time, and always use clean scissors or shears. Pruning should make the plant look neater and more open, not stripped or exposed. Number 3. Pick tomatoes before they're fully ripe. It may seem counterintuitive, but picking tomatoes before they're completely red and ripe can actually lead to better flavor and fewer problems. If you wait too long, pests or sudden rain can ruin a perfect fruit. Therefore, harvesting them at the breaker stage, when they just start to turn color, is a smarter move. While the tomatoes may not look quite ready, they'll continue to ripen. Off the vine indoors, and this reduces the chance of cracking, rotting, or being eaten by bugs or birds. Plus, it lightens the load on the plant, so it can focus on growing new fruit instead of supporting heavy, overripe ones. However, this only works with tomatoes that are already turning color. If they're still fully green, they won't ripen properly. Off the vine, so watch your plants daily, especially during peak harvest time. You'll soon learn the perfect moment to pick for the best taste and texture. Number 2. Keep leaves off the ground. Tomato leaves that drag on the soil can become wet, dirty, and infected. While it might seem minor, this contact can lead to early blight, fungal spots, or other stubborn diseases. Therefore, keeping leaves off the ground is a small but powerful preventative step. You can use cages, stakes, or even gentle clips to lift the branches. And if leaves are already touching the soil, it's better to prune them or gently tie them up. Keeping the plant elevated also makes it easier to spot pests and pick ripe fruit without bending over constantly. However, be careful not to snap branches while adjusting. If you handle the plant too roughly, it might break or bruise. So always support the stem with one hand while lifting a branch with the other. A little patience goes a long way in preventing damage. Number 1. Monitor for pests weekly. You might think that pests will announce themselves with chewed leaves or visible bugs, but many tomato pests are sneaky. Therefore, checking your plants weekly, or even more often, is the best way. To catch problems early, a few minutes of inspection can save your whole crop. While looking under leaves and around the base of the plant, you may find aphids, hornworms, or eggs before they cause real harm. And the sooner you find them, the easier they are to remove. So carry a small bucket or gloves and be ready to hand pick or spray as needed. However, don't panic at every insect you see. Some bugs are beneficial and help control the bad ones. If you're unsure, take a picture or look it up before acting. A balanced garden with healthy plants and regular checks is always your best defense.